can be. That song was written, I'm sure, with a person in mind. But this morning, I want the you to have a different meaning. The you that we are going to talk about this morning is not you, a person, but you, a concept. And that concept is death. And I know it sounds a little strange, but bear with me. Hear me out, because this morning we are going to go from death to a divine awakening. A divine awakening. From the seeming end to the aliveness greater than ever before. From that which appears to be over to a fresh, heightened beginning. Those new beginnings. That is what "You Raise Me Up" means this morning. And so that's what we're going to base this Easter talk on, this beautiful, beautiful Easter morning. And there is nothing found in life, in the teachings or the life of the master teacher Jesus, more profound or more meaningful or more holy than the Easter story, the message around his resurrection. So I'm going to read from the Gospel Matthew, chapter 28, verses 1 to 6, where we are told, this is the story. In the evening of the Sabbath, when the first day of the week began to dawn, there came Mary of Magdala and the other Mary to see the tomb. And behold, a great earthquake shook the place. For the angel of the Lord came down from heaven and went up and rolled away the stone from the door and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his garments were as white as snow. And for fear of him, the guards who were watching trembled and became as if they were dead. But the angel answered, saying to the women, "You need not be afraid, for I know that you are seeking Jesus who was crucified. He is not here, for he has risen, just as he had said." And it is that last sentence where our profound meaning and holy lesson for this morning comes in. You need not be afraid, for I know that you are seeking Jesus who was crucified. He is not here, for he has risen, just as he had said. You need not be afraid. I know that you are seeking Jesus who died, but he is not here. He has had a divine awakening. You need not be afraid. I know you are seeking Jesus who seems to have ended, but really is more alive than ever before. You need not be afraid. I know you are seeking Jesus whose life appears to be over, but who in fact is experiencing a fresh, heightened beginning. This deep, sweet teaching within the resurrection story, which is very real and pertinent for us today, even after 2,000 years after it occurred, is that death is not the end. It's not the end. Rather, it is the beginning to an elevated state. And this is true whether the end comes in, and it comes in many forms. The end can come in the death of a physical body, the death of a relationship, the death of a job, the death of your 401k. The death of an idea, or the death of a habit, the death of a habit, even the death of a dream. Before I go on, though, I do want to be very, very clear in that by saying this, I don't want to minimize the effect that deaths do have on us. From our perspective as humans, we have emotions around death, and so we have within us a natural way of feeling sad when someone passes on, when we lose a pet, which I know many in the congregation have lost pets recently, and there's a sadness, and we need to honor are grieving. We need to honor that part of us and go through that sadness. But these experiences that cause our hearts deep grief and sadness, and to differing degrees, and so does the loss of a relationship, the loss of a job, the loss of a dream, all of these. There's a definite place for grief in our human emotions. And these experiences do touch our hearts. They really touch our hearts. So let's honor that also as we go through this. Just as the hearts of those who love Jesus hurt on that Friday when he was crucified and they were taking him down from the cross. A dream they had had a dream with this man. This man taught about oneness. He taught as the master teacher. And so not only did his physical body die, but the dream that he held within him seemed to have gone. And yes, Jesus did die. And with him, it seemed all that hope went with him. And yet, 3 days later, on that Sabbath morning, just as the angel said, he rose. He rose. He awakened. He rose. And I know, the angel said, that you are seeking Jesus, who was crucified. He is not here, for he has risen, just as he had said. Showing us, this resurrection shows us a profound way that death is not an ending, but in fact a new beginning, a fresh start. Yes, for the divine awakening to take place within us. In fact, some of our greatest crucifixions have revealed the possibility of our greatest resurrections. Do that one again. Some of our greatest crucifixions, and it feels like that sometimes, have led to our greatest resurrections. Some of our greatest awakenings, showing us in a profound way that death is not an ending, but an opportunity for a divine awakening. So I want to ask this morning, what looks like a death, just think about it, what looks like a death in your life right now? A relationship? A job? Maybe a loved one? Just think of it. And as I said, I know a few people have lost their pets who have been like their children to them. And I ask you also right now, will you allow this death to awaken you? Because there's there's something so great within each and every one of us that is truly waiting for our recognition of it. And sometimes we must die to the old way of thinking, of being, of showing up in the world in order to allow this connection to occur, this awakening that I'm speaking of, this divine awakening is simply connecting with that which is already present within each and every one of us. And lots of times it takes what looks like a crucifixion in order for that to come forth. Perhaps what might be revealed to you is a deeper commitment to love, a fuller expression of your creativity, a different, deeper integrity in your financial and business affairs, maybe a closer relationship with the God of your understanding, which to me is one of the greatest gifts you could ever give to yourself anyway. A deeper relationship with the God of your understanding, the one that you can connect with, and the one that is within you. The one that is within you, as is everywhere. Only you can decide what the resurrection will mean for you. You have the spark of unlimited possibilities within you. You have that spark, that capability, every single one of us. Because the Christ light shines from within you. It radiates from within you. You can see it. You're also bright. I need my sunglasses on. Truly, the Christ light is radiating. That light is radiating, individualized through each and every one of you, and it is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to behold. Truly beautiful to behold. But You have the right and the responsibility to decide what your divine awakening will be. That's the beauty of choice. We get to decide what to do with our awakening. And Ernest Holmes writes in The Science of Mind, to press boldly forward, looking ever for the truth, and ever ascending higher and higher into the heavens of reality. There is no limit to the possibility inherent in all of us, he says. Let the timid soul put its complete trust in good and press bravely on. Love that. Amen. Me too. Up to now, I've been speaking about deaths that have occurred in our lives. What if we shifted our focus for a moment and looked at Jesus' death and resurrection as a metaphor for the idea that at any moment we can choose to let go of an old way of thinking, of an old way of being, of an old way of acting, of an old way of behaving, so that we can rise up. So that we can really rise up and live this life fully. Sometimes we must die to the old in order to embrace and allow the new in. We don't even know what the new is if we're so stuck in the old. And so I ask you, how are you going to respond? Not how you're going to respond, but how. How you're going to be proactive in this. Is there a fear in you that today you could let die? Is there guilt in you that today you could let die? Is there shame in you that today you can let die? Are there feelings of inadequacy, internal takes that play over and over again, how you're not good enough, how you'll never be worthy enough that you can let die? Is there anger in you today that you could let die? Do you have an unsupportive or unhealthy relationship? That's my phone. Turn your phones off. Very serious talk. So is there something within you truly that you could let just die, let go of, and embrace, be open to? That beauty that spirit is, because in that unknown, that's what we're afraid of. We're afraid of this unknown place, which is where spirit is. God is everywhere all the time. Yes, we know this. We teach this. If you choose today to let go of those things, to die, the glory of God that is within you would be resurrected. It would come forth. Promise. The key point to remember is that has always been there. It's been there all along. So I want to create a new catchphrase today. It's called Easter moment. So we're going to have an Easter moment. An Easter moment is when we consciously, yes, let go of that which does not serve us. When we die to the old and embrace the new, so that we can begin having this spiritual awareness with a new consciousness. Have an Easter moment. Die to the old stuff that isn't serving you. And body embrace the new, the good that is waiting for you. And it is, it's waiting for you. It supports you. It leads you. It's a new consciousness, a new awareness, an expanded way of living when we let go of that which has kept us in bondage. It is a great way to reveal the spiritual nature that is already ours. Now, modern New Thought author Jean Houston said, "It is no longer possible for us to live as pale, diminished versions of ourselves." And many of us are living that. Pale, diminished versions of ourselves. It's time to rise up. Rise up. Rise up. We really are here by divine appointment. This is no accident. We really are here for a sacred purpose. Each and every one of us. Our lives are really meant to be lived as something beautiful, spiritual, and holy. Dr. Michael Beckwith wrote, "We are here to unfold a cosmic destiny, not just make little bubbles and waves. We are here for something so great that it is beyond our comprehension. It is beyond our knowledge. But when we truly let go and let God, all is revealed. When we have that trust, that faith in that great higher power, all is revealed. All is revealed." I spoke last Sunday of futurist Barbara Marx Hubbart's view that crises are always evolutionary drivers. She wrote this, "From an evolutionary standpoint, our current social economical structures, they can't hold the evolution that is wanting to come forth. There's something so much greater that's wanting to come forth, and it is coming forth. So they must die as well." So we're going to see lots of paradigm shifts, lots of different infrastructures, lots of different things that look like they're falling apart. Chaos is a step in the process to clarity. Chaos is a process in moving forward and creating something new. The old must collapse. It must collapse because we are moving into a higher order of functioning. A higher order of function. How cool is that? And all of us get to be on that leading edge of it, on that cutting edge of it. It's just so cool. We are in the middle of reordering a whole higher level of being, of showing up in the world. I truly believe that, and I know a lot of you do. So we go through and experience what feels like confusion and chaos in our lives. But in order to get that clarity of understanding, it serves us to know that truly and really believe that God is the source of all of our good. All of our good. Sometimes we must go through what is known as the dark night of the soul. Sometimes it feels like that. But then when you come out the other end, there's the light shining, waiting for each and every one of us. Remember, the next higher order of functioning already exists. As I said, it's already there. It's seeking expression, and it can only express through you, through each one of us. So the more open we are, the greater Spirit can express through us. And what we're feeling right now, I think, in this whole universal planetary shift that we're going through, is this higher order pushing through. Pushing through. It seeks expression. It will instruct you when you are ready. You will always have divine guidance. So fear is not necessary when you have the faith of a higher order of being. A higher instruction is coming forth. I await it. I love it. And I follow it. I follow it. So let me illustrate I have a little story for you. And it's a true story about a New Thought minister. It's not a joke, but it's a nice story. A New Thought minister was standing at the back of her church after Sunday service, saying good morning to everybody, welcoming everybody, and this little boy who was waiting in line, he came up to speak with her, and he said, "I've been waiting to tell you something that happened to me." "Yes," she said. "Ever since I was little, I always wanted to be a bunny rabbit. I always wished I were free and furry and I could hop and jump all over the place. I wished and I wished. But I finally gave up because I saw that I was never going to get my wish and become a rabbit. Then last week, a miracle happened." "Really?" she chuckled, imagining that someone had given him this pet rabbit. "Yes," he said, with his eyes wide open in wonder. "After all the time of wishing, one night I had a dream. And in my dream, I was a bunny rabbit. And I felt what it was like to hop and jump and play and to be all furry and cuddly. I felt like it. It was so wonderful, and I got my wish. That's wonderful, she agreed. But that's not all, he said excitingly. During my dream, God showed me how wonderful it is to be a bunny rabbit. And when I woke up, I realized that the feelings I wanted to feel in being a bunny rabbit were already inside me. So I have been carrying what I wanted inside me all along. His eyes were wide with recognition, and hers were filled with tears of appreciation of this beautiful little story. Thank you for sharing your wonderful story with me, she managed to say. I thought you'd like to know about that, he said, and he smiled and went off with his mom. But Ernest Holmes kind of supports this whole idea, the bunny rabbit within. Bunny rabbit within. Ernest Holmes supports this idea with a writing of his from Science of Mind. He writes, the spiral of life is upward. Evolution carries us forward, not backward. Eternal and progressive expansion is its law, and there are no breaks in its continuity. It seemed to me that our evolution is the result of an unfolding consciousness of that which is already ours and needs to be realized to become a fact in everyday life. So it serves us to remember that we are always going forward. We are always evolving. It might feel like we're going backward, but we're not. We are always evolving. That is how it works. That is how spirit works, and that is how we work. And so Easter reminds us that no matter how dark it may get, sometimes it feels really dark, God always turns the night into light. God always turns a no way into a new way. Spirit is always triumphant, and everything is always made new and fresh. The Easter story assures us of our seeming loss, but there is always renewal, and in fact, an awakened life, a purpose-filled life, like a purpose-filled life. And Michael Pollan writes in his writing, a garden that never dies eventually would weary, robbed of springtime, unacquainted with the extraordinary perfume that rises from the soil after it's had its rest. The garden, winter, doesn't visit a dull place. The return every spring of earth's first freshness would never be kept if not for the frosts and the rot and the ripe deaths of the fall. So when I go out from the garden for the last time in autumn, I always leave the gate door open. And so I invite you to join with me in letting go and letting the glory of God express in and through your life. It resides. This God spark resides within each and every one of us. There's a brilliance that is waiting to express itself. And as we allow this divine awakening to be resurrected in us, Spirit will always support us. Spirit will always raise us up into great states of divine awareness, divine awakening, and love.